In the world of Teyvat, there are seven gods with the title Archon, each ruling over a region and associated with a certain element. In this world, the people can also use elemental abilities, but only special types of people. Only those with the vision can use elemental abilities, but how do you get the visions? Not even the seven, or at least Raiden Shogun, do not seem to understand exactly how visions are granted. But there is one thing we can safely confirm about how people receive certain elements to use. It has to do with the divine ideals each god embodies. Barbados, Morax, Baal, Bjor, and the gods of Hydro, Pyro, and Cryo that are not yet released to sate my gambling addiction. Each of them embodies an ideal, and those ideals are represented through the visions each character has. Let's take a look at the characters with visions. What lifestyle do they lead, or what ideals do they have that align themselves with the divine ideal connected to their elemental vision? Let's start with Animo, the elements of freedom. Venti, god of freedom. Gods don't actually need a vision to control their element. The visions they have are fake so as to not make others suspicious of their true identity. Sucrose, an alchemist of the Knights of Favonius and assistant to Albedo. She loves researching and experimenting. Her ideal freedom seems to be able to continue her research on bioalchemy with no hindrances, though I think a dendro vision would fit her better. Jean, acting Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius. Rather than a selfish ideal to do as you wish, her only desire is to protect the freedom of others, to the point where she forgets about taking care of herself. Zhao, the sole Yaksha of Liyue. He doesn't seem to embody freedom in any sense. He is a Yaksha, an adeptus forever fighting the evil spirits that wish for the doom of Liyue. He might be similar to Jean in that he had an ideal of fighting for the freedom of others, or it could have been an idea of freely being able to be with his fellow Yaksha. Either way, currently his lifestyle has no semblance of freedom, yet he is still protecting Liyue, and he is best boy to me. Sayu, a ninja under the Kamisato clan. Living in a profession in which every enemy can be the death of her, she relies purely on her skill and techniques to hide, run, and evade. Luckily, her job has become much easier once she awakened her vision. Her ideal freedom is to simply sleep peacefully after a hard day of work. Now I feel kinda bad for using her as my taxi. Kaedehara Kazuha. He is a free-spirited drifter, an open-minded warrior, constantly traveling to distant lands and admiring the surrounding environments. Though of course, he still has his own responsibilities that he doesn't run away from. Hazel, a genius ace detective. Honestly, I have no idea why he has an animal vision. To free the world of criminals and sin or something maybe. I think it would have made more sense if he had a pyro vision instead. Faruzan, a Sumero professor and researcher. As she was investigating a ruin of the Scarlet King, she was trapped within it and it had a strange power that seemed to slow the process of aging. After what seemed to be a century of mind numbing perseverance, she had finally solved the last puzzle to escape and obtained her freedom. Such unwavering desire to be free was rewarded with an animal vision. Wanderer, known more as Scaramouche or the Balladeer, sixth of the Fatui Harbingers. The story goes through as to why he has an animal vision, so I won't say anything more for spoiler reasons. Next, let's discuss the Geo characters, the element of contracts. Zhongli, god of contracts. Same as Venti, he does not need a vision to control his own element. It's a fake to hide his identity. Noelle, a hardworking maid aspiring to one day join the ranks of the Knights of Favonius. Her continuous perseverance was rewarded with a geovision, and like her, I don't understand why a geovision. Perhaps her habit of always responding to kindness with her own kindness, like an exchange. Albedo, an alchemist and illustrator. He is Sucrose's mentor and is as dedicated to his research as her in order to make the unknown known. However, his motivation is different. Before he became affiliated with the Knights, he had a mentor that disappeared on him and never came back. But before leaving, she left a note for him. Your final assignment. Show me the truth and the meaning of this world. Perhaps he made some sort of promise to himself to fulfill the assignment given to him and awaken the vision as a symbol of his resolve. Ningguang, the head of Liyue Harbor, the largest commercial district of the Liyue region, keeping track of everything commercial in the city from negotiations and contracts to the more under the table kind of dealings. Of course, she would have a geovision. Yun Jin, an opera singer and playwright dedicated to not only her singing, but to also tell a riveting tale in her performances. Her geovision is a symbol to herself to always perform her passionate operas, to constantly strive to sing compelling tales. Goro, a general in Watatsumi Island, he received his vision through his accomplishments in training his troops and leading them, but I believe his loyalty to Sango no Miya Kokumi is what probably gave him a Geo one. Arataki Ito, the Oni leader of the Arataki gang, the reason for the Geovision is due to not his own contracts or promises, but a past promise of his people, one that he takes responsibility to rectify and intends to uphold. Electro characters, the element of eternity. Raiden Shogun, god of eternity. Nothing else needs to be said. Lisa, librarian of the Knights of Favonius. She just thought about wanting a vision and then got an electro vision. I don't know why eternity though. Most likely a hope to be together with all our friends or something wholesome. Razor, the wolf boy of Wolvendom. The sole purpose of his vision is to ensure the safety of his friends, whether it be the wolves of Wolvendom or the humans of Mondstadt. Fischl, a Chunibyo adventurer that knows German, apparently. Her ability is to bring out her fantasies into reality, which is in the form of the talking raven Oz. With her vision, she is able to continue with her delusions for as long as she wants. Keqing, Yu Hang of the Li Wei Qixing. The vision she receives is a token of her efforts in guaranteeing the everlasting prosperity of Liyue. Kujo Sara, a Tengu from the mountains of Narukami. When she was young, she was attacked by monsters and plummeted to a nearby village. She was then adopted into the Kujo clan to become a soldier. The reason being is because she was found by the villagers' collapse with the vision already. She believes this vision to be a sign of recognition from the almighty shogun, hence her reverence for her. Kuki Shinobu, deputy leader of the Arataki gang. I don't know when she obtained her vision, whether it was before or after she joined the Arataki gang, but it was after she decided to quit the incredibly boring job of being a shrine maiden of the Grand Narukami Shrine. It could be that she finds a place to belong with the gang and wishes to remain with him, but I think an animal vision would be more fitting as she wants to find her own path outside of her being a shrine maiden. Yaemiko, friend of eternity. Like the Archons, her vision is ornamental and she doesn't actually need one to use the element of eternity. Dori, a money obsessed merchant in Sumeru. The reason for her obsession stems from her family situation. Her sister has a disease that is too expensive for her parents to buy medication for, as they were already struggling to even make ends meet. Upon learning exactly how much more they need, she becomes filled with resolve to make money. She was then granted an electrovision, aspiring for an ideal future in which she and her family can have unburdened smiles for eternity. Seno, General Mahamatra of Sumeru's Academia. My best guess would be that his ideal of eternity is an eternity of peace through everyone following the law by not committing any sins. But a hydrovision would have been more fitting for him, wouldn't it? Denjo characters next. The elements of wisdom. Nahida, god of wisdom. Nothing else needs to be said. Kole, a trainee forest ranger. Her main goal is to be a ranger like her mentor Tanari. She learns and trains as much as she can to have that same vast level of knowledge and wisdom to help people like how her friends helped her. Her vision is recognition of her efforts. Tanari, a forest watcher and a scholar of the Academia, he is purely devoted to research, learning, and protecting people, a true scholar worthy of a vision of wisdom. Hydro characters now. The element of justice. Barbara, deaconess of the Favonius Church and aspiring idol. A very kind soul that has only one desire to help people in any way she can, whether it be as a servant of Barbados or a soul healing idol. Her ideal of justice doesn't seem to revolve around the judgment aspect of it, but around an aspects more kinder. Mona, astrologist and hydromancy user. She has her own self of justice portrayed through her brutal honesty when it comes down to her divinations. If you ask her to see if the guy you like is interested in you, and she sees that he has no interest and he is actually going to leave soon, that is exactly what she will say. Xing Chu, second son of the manager of an important Liyue commerce guild. Since he was young, he has been reading a lot of books about martial arts and chivalrous heroes, which is what most likely shaped his entire sense of chivalry and justice. He even practices martial arts as well. Tartaglia, 11th of the Fatui Harbingers, a prodigious warrior in not just physical capabilities, but also in having respectable valor and chivalry with a heart full of loyalty to the Tsaritsa. Yelan, intelligence agent of Ningguang. Her job is basically like a cleaner to all the filth in the shadows of Liyue. She is dedicated to erasing all the evil she could find, perfectly representing justice in the name of the Liyue cheese. Sango Nomiya Kokumi, divine priestess of Watatsumi Island. Similar to Barbara, her wish is one thing and one thing only: to protect all of Watatsumi Island and allow its people to lead happy lives. Kamisato Ayato, current head of his clan and Yashiro commander of Inazuma. Officially, he is responsible for ceremonial affairs, celebratory events, public festivals, and managing the shrines and temples. However, he also acts as a mediator in certain political affairs and does things similar to what Yelan does. He is very gentlemanly with a great sense of responsibility. Candace, guardian of Aru village, a very kind soul to any travelers to her village, but will not hesitate to exact justice upon any evil against her village. Nilo, the star of Zubair Theater. I have absolutely zero clue on how she would represent an ideal of justice. All I got for you is that she is the kind of idol Barbara aspires to be. Maybe the Hydro Archon is an idol fan or something. Pyro characters, the element of war. Amber, outrider of the Knights of Favonius. The Outriders was once a small platoon that basically does jobs similar to adventurers, but under the name of the Favonius Knights. Unfortunately, the platoon no longer exists and Amber is the only one left. However, that doesn't mean she would discard the name of Outrider. She still fulfills her duties despite how outdated the job is, and continues to help the people, even earning the name Crimson Knight. Bennett, leader of Benny's adventure team, as well as its only member. He is the most unfortunate existence in the entire world. Whenever he finds an unopened chest, he would be lucky to find a carrot. It's so bad that the next time you see him, it would be lucky to find him in a cage instead of a locked ruin. Even still, he keeps going. He doesn't give up and never loses that smile. He is optimistic to the point where he seems kind of insane. He is continuously fighting a war against his own misfortune. Diluc, owner of Dawn Winery, ex-cavalry captain of the Favonius Knights, and also the Dark Knight hero of Mondstadt. In the past, he was a renowned knight, quickly garnering immense respect from his peers. However, an incident occurred that resulted in his father's death, and instead of the situation being made public, it was concealed to uphold the honor of the Knights of Favonius. Being disgusted by the pride of the corrupted authorities, he left and became a vigilante to search for the true culprits of his father's death for a purpose that has nothing to do with justice. What he seeks is purely vengeance. Klee, the Spark Knight of the Knights of Favonius and daughter of two very well-known adventurers, one of them being the legendary Alice. Alice has many titles, but you would know her best as the one who created this thing here. But about Klee, she is just a natural born arsonist. She loves explosions and will always try to find a way to spark a flame somewhere if Jean doesn't keep a proper eye on her. Jialing, the head chef of Wanmin restaurant. She has one powerful ideal. You can make something super delicious out of any kind of ingredient. Despite how off putting the dishes she makes can be to her patrons, she will always firmly hold on to this ideal no matter what. Hu Tao, the 77th director of Wangsheng Funeral Parlor and an exalted poet. After the funeral for the death of her grandfather, she was filled with this longing to see him one more time. She heads alone to the border of life and death in Liyue with some rations and stays there for an uncertain amount of time, all at the young age of 13. Unfortunately, she never sees him among the wandering spirits and learns that he already just passed on with no regrets. Being faced with reality, she remembers a saying her grandfather quoted as she walks back home: live in life, die in death. Follow your heart, do what you can. She was able to move on from his death and decided to adopt this ideal and live on to make sure everyone can die like her grandfather did. Yan Fei, Liyue's famed legal advisor. Yan Fei believes in no structure without laws, and what she wishes for is to live as one pleases without overstepping. She continuously amends any loopholes she could find when it comes to laws, and is an excellent mediator when it comes to legal cases. I believe a hydrovision would have been better for her, but I can imagine how much of a battlefield being in a career of law can be. Xin Yan, Liyue's pioneer rock and roll musician. She completely embodies the soul of rock and roll, that will to rebel against society in the form of music. No matter how much hate, disapproval, and criticism the people of Liyue will give her, she will always express her passion. Yoimiya, the current owner of Inozuma's Naganohara fireworks. Unfortunately, I don't know what ideal or lifestyle she leads to have an ideal involving war. She does fight with us in Inozuma's Archon quest, but I believe an Electrovision would have fit her more. Toma, housekeeper of the Kamisato clan. Leaving his home country, he got swept by the waves to Inazuma and was in the hospitality of the Kamisato clan for a while. However, when the Yashiro Commission was starting to lose power after the death of Ayato's parents, Ayato told Toma that he can leave if he wishes. But Toma refused and instead chose to repay the Kamisato clan for helping him in this foreign land and to aid his friend in his time of need. Finally, cryo characters. We don't seem to have any confirmation on what divine ideal the cryo archon represents. But taking a look at the characters and the theories surrounding the Tsaritsa and the goals of the Fatui, I can safely theorize what her current divine ideal is. The cryo element is the element of independence. Aloy, play the Horizon games. Kaya, cavalry captain of the Favonius Knights and also secretly an agent of Conria. He and his father arrived in Mondstadt to serve as spies for Conria, but unfortunately his father died on a stormy night. He was then found and taken in by Krapus Ragenvinder and became brothers with Diluc. However, he still has his secrets and duty. This separated him from his peers and adopted brother. But throughout the decade of being a spy, he becomes conflicted, agonizing about the possibility of his two nations, Conria and Mondstadt, going to war. He never confided his identity to anyone until the death of Duluc's father. His guilt overcame his senses and he finally came clean. Everything, every secret he held in his heart, he confided everything to Duluc on the day of his father's death. Understandably, Diluc was furious and they fought. During the duel was when Kaya awakened his vision. Hopefully, this vision is a symbol of his newfound resolve to make sure war never happens. Rosaria, a sister of Mondstadt's Favonius church. When she was born, she was taken in by bandits, the same bandits that razed her home village to the ground. Throughout her youth, she was forced to endure hard labor while also being underfed. Driven by hunger, she attempted to abandon the bandit group, only to be caught by the same elder bandit that took her in. Per tradition in the group, any deserters must earn victory through combat in order to be forgiven for their treason. The elder bandit was the one that fought against her and was killed effortlessly as she awakened her vision. She then lived on with the bandit gang until Grandmaster Varka subjugated them and made young Rosaria join the church to hopefully rehabilitate her. Unfortunately, she was never able to get rid of her old lifestyle of violence. Therefore, she takes it upon herself to be in the shadows, similar to Yalan, but under no orders nor any ideal of justice. It's simply the only thing she knows on how to help Mondstadt, and she does it without anyone knowing. Diona, beloved bartender of Mondstadt's Cat's Tail Tavern and daughter of Draff, Springvale's best hunter. Despite being a bartender and an amazing drink mixer, she despises alcohol. She even proclaims herself as the wine industry slayer. This is because of her father. She has immense admiration for her father, and that perfect image she has of him shatters whenever he gets drunk. Rather than blame the person, it makes more sense for her to direct her hate towards alcohol. She becomes a bartender for the purpose of making the terrible drinks to deter people from drinking. But to her dismay, her efforts amount to delicious drops of God instead. I believe a Pyrovision would have suited her better. Eula, captain of the Knights of Favonius Reconnaissance Company. Coming from a once tyrannical aristocratic family, she was expected to restore their former glory. However, she was never there for their fall and humiliation. Plus, all the torment she experienced was inflicted by her own family. She keeps trying to break away from her family, but no one else would ever accept her because she carries her family's name. So then she vows to herself she will free herself from the burden of her name and enact vengeance against her family. Chong Yun, a young exorcist of Liyue. Hailing from a family of exorcists, he was born with a particularly powerful talent. His yang energy, the positive energy, is so powerful that any evil spirit runs away immediately when he gets near. However, this is actually to his detriment. Whenever he gets an assignment to perform exorcisms, he is met with suspicion and criticism as, unlike his peers, he doesn't use any standard techniques, nor does he use talismans most of the time. Despite this, he still continues to perform his own way of exorcising evil spirits. I believe a Power Vision would also be more suited to him. Even the game wonders why he has a cryo vision. Chi-Chi, apprentice and herb gatherer of Liyue's Boo Boo Pharmacy. Sadly, there was nothing I could find to figure out why she has a vision through her ideals or lifestyle. Years ago, when she was still alive, she was a little herb gatherer that accidentally wandered into a battlefield between demons and Adepti. Only when she was dying did she receive her vision. She was then recognized by the Adepti as an illuminated one, and they gave her a portion of each of their powers. The power was too much for her though, and she ended up going berserk, forcing one of them to encase her in amber. Right now, she's a masterless zombie with severe memory problems, constantly needing to exercise to make sure her body doesn't break down, and also needing to give herself orders to stay purposeful. Ganyu, General Secretary of the Li Wei Chizing and a half adeptus under a contract with Morax. Born as half adeptus and half human, she has never properly felt that she fit in anywhere. Being half human, she can feel lonely to the point of depression, which made her unfit for the Adepti lifestyle, and being half Adeptus, it's difficult for her to connect with other mortal beings. Only when she accepted Morax's offer 3,000 years ago to help build Liyue by being the support for the first Shizing, only there as a general secretary does she feel like she belongs. Shenhe, disciple of Cloud Retainer. I won't go into too much because of story spoilers again. It's not really that big, so all I will say is that she was stalemating against a giant monster in a cave when she was a kid, awakened a vision, and then killed it. She was then trained under the Adeptus Cloud Retainer. Kamisato Ayaka, daughter of the Kamisato clan. As her brother bore the burden of becoming their clan's leader, she also resolved herself to become a little sister worthy of the name Kamisato. She picked up her unused sword and practiced poetry, training and reading poems, training and memorizing poems, training and memorizing even more, doing everything she can to make herself not out of place in a noble society. On one particular day, Ayaka defeated an opponent in a duel with a single strike, and in recognition of her efforts, she awakened a vision. Layla, an academia student in theoretical astrology. She is someone that is not afraid to speak up against her senior scholars. She debates, she doubts, things that make others mistake into thinking that she is questioning the intellect of the arrogant scholars. However, that is not her intent. She is someone that is completely immersed and passionate when it comes to her studies, to the point where she's actually just sleep deprived. Luckily, she comes to an understanding with her senior scholars. It would make more sense that she would have a Dendro vision, though. She also really admires Mona and Lisa. And that's all of the characters out right now. I probably should have said this at the beginning of this entire video, but it's working around a theory of visions being assigned based on the ideals associated with an archon. Nothing so far has been confirmed on exactly how visions are granted, but even so, this is a nice idea on like why Diluc has a vision of war instead of a vision of justice. My research on the characters is also minimal, hence my ignorance of certain vision holders and characters I said should probably have a different vision. They're likely wrong as well, so don't take anything I say like too seriously. After all, I didn't even know about Kaya at all before researching for this video. But if you enjoyed anything about this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you are interested in any future videos, and I hope you'll hear me again soon.